Hey Internet. Now, currently there's a convention going on in Oaks, Pennsylvania called Too Many Games. For those of you that don't live in the northeast part of the country, it's a convention. It's a fairly decent size. They got a lot of shops and stalls. You can buy pretty much anything there. They actually release a couple new homebrew games every year, a lot for like the NES, Master System, some of the old consoles like that. The Angry Video Game Nerd, Brental Floss, DJ Cutman, they're there every year. This year also there's Mega Ran, Power Glove, the dude whose name I still can't remember did the voice for Professor Oak on Pokemon, he's there. It's always just a good time. Actually this year they've even got a video game themed burlesque show, so if you like nudity and also video game characters, then... all that being said, however, I'm not at the convention. I'm at home, as you may have noticed. So, since I can't be there, I figured I may as well at least review some of the games that I got there last year. So, here we go. Alright, now the first one is Dragon Feet. It's a nifty little game made by a guy whose name, honestly, I'm not even going to try to pronounce because I will butcher it. But I actually met the guy. He's a pretty decent guy. I talked to him. He knows what he's doing. He's a good guy to talk to. So that was all good. However, his game, I'm sorry, but it sucks. Actually, let me just put up a video. See, as you may notice, the graphics leave a lot to be desired. It may as well be an Atari title for how good this looks. The music that you can hear already is repetitive and just grates on every nerve you have. It's just very clangy, it's very one-dimensional, there's no like harmonies or any layering, it's just that stupid notes just grinding in your brain. I can't even think enough to make sentences right now. But if you get past the music, everything else sucks too. The controls, the jumps just seem odd. The shooting, every time you hit the button to shoot, if your previous bullet hadn't hit something yet, it just vanishes. When enemies are coming at you, I'll show you right here, you can duck into the ground, so that's your tail sticking up, and the enemies won't hit you, but that seems very counterintuitive, because in all that I've heard of Dragon lore, I've never heard of them doing that, so it's very strange. There's also some bits in here where you'll come upon little rooms you'll go in. There's one later in the game that's a complete dick, where you go in the room, and it actually shoots you back to the previous level. No warning, you just get to do the previous level again, because why the hell not? But other rooms actually have people in them, and they'll say things to you. However, the level of helpfulness that these things have, it leaves a lot to be desired. Yeah, one of the first bits of text that you come across when someone talks to you, and you can see this on the screen now. So you're going to slay the knight. You'll need help. I'm too lazy to help you. Well, that's not bloody well an important bit of text then, is it? You probably could have left that whole thing right out, and I don't think anyone would have noticed. This here is my favorite bit. It says, sorry, there is no bathroom here. You were just in the woods. Do your business there next time. There are no bathrooms inside the castle either. Now I have a few qualms with this. First of all, are you telling him to shit in the woods? Because then you're just going to have gross piles of shit all around your castle. Also, if the dragon's coming to conquer the castle and kill the knight in it, I don't know why he'd care about just shitting in the hallway. I will say I gotta give this guy props because most games never acknowledge the whole, hey, people need to sometimes defecate. So, I guess that's cool, but considering how bad everything else in the game is, I don't know if that level of realism was necessary. And lastly, the indication that there are no bathrooms inside the castle anywhere. What? What exactly is everyone else doing then? There's a lot about this that I don't like. So, actually, I think I'm just going to move on to the next game now. Alright, so next we have Dragon Leap, which actually is just a sequel to Dragon Feet. Made by the same guy, of course. This was actually released a year later, so he had a lot of time to work on this one, and most of the problems I had with the first game he actually fixed. The first thing you'll notice here is that the music is not terrible. I mean, it's not the best music I've ever heard in a game, don't get me wrong. This will never rival Bloody Tears or anything. But this doesn't destroy your brain. It actually sounds good. It sounds like music. I don't know if he did it himself or hired someone to do it, but either way, it sounds like someone actually put effort into it this time. And it's much appreciated. Also, the graphics significantly better, except for the dragon himself, which now looks entirely doofy. Astoundingly worse than he did in the first game. So, I guess kudos for figuring out how to make that a thing. But this game just has a lot more to offer. The levels are huge and non-linear. You're not always just walking in a straight line with no variation at all. The backgrounds change, the enemies change colors, even though it's really just the same enemies over and over. Also, as you go, every time you clear a room, you pick up a little bit of meat. And as you get X amount of meat, your fireballs will launch in various directions instead of just one. So you actually get powered up. Every time you're hit, you lose one of your little meat dealies, and eventually it'll decrease the power of your fireball. So it gives you incentive to do well. It's not like the first game, though, where one hit, game over, you suck. This is a bit more forgiving. Alright, one complaint I do have about this one, though, is the jump controls. A lot of these rooms, the bricks are pretty close, there's only one space in between, and while you do fit in there, you have to be just right on the edge to be able to jump up and around from inside the little crevice where you're stuck. It'll take a lot of tries, and as you can see from the clip currently playing, I am not quite good at it, or at least wasn't the first time I picked it up. So that really could have used a bit of adjustment. Granted, maybe it's just me sucking, and that's more than likely the case, but I think the controls probably could have used some tuning as well. I do have to say, though, while the first game had bosses that were ridiculous, to the point where you could actually go on and off the screen to just loop around and hit them without ever having them be close to you. This new one, the bosses are a little more difficult. They bounce around the room, they're a little bigger so they're easier to hit. They don't necessarily have the weak spots like the first one. But because the way the game's laid out and the way some of the rooms are laid out, it's also more likely that they'll hit you. So it just seems to be a bit more challenging. And there's no way for you to cheat and get off the screen and avoid being hit. So I do like that he really kind of stepped up his game with this one. It made it a lot more fun, a lot better to play. That being said, I don't know if you'll ever find a copy anywhere out there, but if you can pick up the ROM somewhere online, I recommend skipping the first and going straight to this one, because this is really the only one that's actually worth playing. Alright, so that's all I got for you. I guess it's kind of short, but I'm still spending most of my time wishing I was at the convention and trying to convince my friend to send me all the pictures from the burlesque show that he took, because, again, naked people in video games. We all want that. Oh, one last thing about the convention, because apparently this episode is actually about that, not the games. So much cute cosplay. You're welcome.